Who's the second best head coach in college football? Nick Saban's number one. Who's number two? You got your own university. You're running things. You got the next 10 years to fill, and you got a coaching vacancy. Who are you hiring if everyone's on the table? This was a viewer-submitted question for one of our recent editions of the Late Kick Extra podcast. It was from Anna, I believe. It was the first question. I recorded it this morning, and I got to thinking more about it, and I thought, this is a really, really interesting thing, because I think the name that comes to the forefront for me is not necessarily the name that comes to the forefront for, let's say, the majority of America. Because my quick answer was Ryan Day. I think Ryan Day is my definitive number two. It took me like 5 seconds to arrive at that. Now, there are big arguments maybe against that. I think some people may go Kirby Smart. I think some more people would go maybe Lincoln Riley, or at least those two may be comparable. But Dabo Swinney is the elephant in the room. And that would be a guy, because he's already won 2 championships and he has an established mega power program at Clemson, that you would say, okay, even though I just saw Ohio State beat them, it wasn't but a year earlier that they beat Ohio State in the semifinal. Oh, and by the way, he's got 2 national championship rings, whereas as a head coach, Ryan Day doesn't have a single one yet. I could entertain that argument. It's not like I would, pull out a sword and choose that hill to die on if you wanted to go Dabo to lead your program. But I'm going to give you several reasons why I choose Ryan Day. I think he's really special, first off. That's no breaking news. But I think maybe if you were to, let's say, take the collective temperature outside of Columbus, Ohio, take the temperature of the college football public, as I like to call them, whatever their temperature on Ryan Day is, I think mine's like 5 or 10 degrees hotter. So if we think about what it takes to masterfully guide a program at an elite level, they are becoming a monster recruiter. Ryan Day is a monster recruiter. I think some people would look and say, oh, Ohio State always recruits well. They were recruiting well under Urban Meyer. Not this well. And they were already elite under Meyer. They weren't recruiting like this. They've not recruited like this, the way that Ryan Day is doing it. And I want to remind you, the backdrop of all this is he's still a new head coach. He's only a few years in as a head coach at Ohio State. He didn't have head coaching experience. They didn't go get him from the MAC. They didn't go get him from the Mountain West. He was already in-house, and they promoted him. I'm going to revisit that point in just a second. He is an exceptional football mind, brilliant tactician, very, very good developing the quarterback position. He coached quarterbacks at the college level, in the NFL. He's got the pro pedigree, so he's got that NFL rub when he goes into living rooms, also when he coaches guys, obviously on the field for Ohio State. He has an assassin's mentality. Like when I'm thinking about who I want at Pate State University, when I'm thinking about who I want to lead my program, Nick Saban's got that assassin's mentality. Nick Saban's got that, but who am I picking behind him? Ryan Day's got that assassin's mentality. Ryan Day strikes me as the kind of guy where if his phone rang and someone told him, we got a covert Michigan. Covert Michigan's not something they ever say in the building up there. But if someone were to call up Ryan Day and say, Ryan, I know you get off work about 8 o'clock tonight, but listen, man, we got a village that needs rescuing down in the Congo, so we need you to pack up, and we just need a Black Ops mission overnight. You can be back in Columbus by 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. He strikes me as the kind of guy that could execute that. And so there aren't many of those out there. Some guys are nice. Some guys are aw shucks. Some guys just win. And then, you could also trust them. If you needed to, you could trust them to do a number of different things, a number of different unsavory things that aren't endorsed by this entity or that government. Ryan Day is the kind of guy who has that personality. Now, what in the world does that mean? Because he's not really acting. He's not going out for any movie role. But here's what it does mean. Guys who are elite in all the categories that we just discussed, and they also have that kind of mentality about them, it's so easy to follow them. You have to, as a result of what we're looking for here, be an elite leader. Ryan Day has no problem with that. And again, he's not a 15-year veteran head coach. He's not Nick Saban. He doesn't have the scroll of a track record that he can roll out and say, here's why you follow me. God didn't even have a national championship yet, but yet people are still following him. That entire organization sings the same tune. So when I look at Ohio State and I look at Ryan Day right now, anything that you claim he lacks, anything that maybe a head coach here or there has that you think he lacks, maybe in terms of hardware, to me it's only a matter of time. So I don't really care, because leadership and casting vision, I think he's a 10 out of 10. But also, I go back, I talk about this frequently when I'm talking about Ryan Day, I go back to this entire notion that when Urban Meyer was stepping down, retiring, however you want to phrase that, when that news came across, what did you think? Because I know what I thought. I thought, selfishly, ooh, this is going to be really good, because we're going to get a lot of content out of this, and there's going to be this big national search. It's not often, in fact, it's very, very rare that programs of this caliber come open without being run off in a ditch somewhere or without facing crippling NCAA sanctions. Like Tennessee is a nice brand name. They're facing a lot of trouble right now and in a lot of turmoil. That's why the job was open. Ohio State was open for factors that are atypical, let's say. So here comes Ryan Day, and you say, who? I thought they were going to go maybe to the NFL, or I thought we were going to have a lot of the top candidates in America interview. Depending on how rabid you are as a college football fan, you may or may not have even heard of Ryan Day. And yet they seamlessly looked at him and said, yep, he's our guy. It was like there was not a lot of consternation. There was not a lot of bickering or debate. There wasn't interviewing 4, 5, 10, 15 other guys and then getting told no, which never would have happened, and then saying, all right, let's just settle for Ryan Day. They already knew. You may not have known, but they already knew. They had the next superstar head coach right in-house. And so you can look at Dabo. You can look at Lincoln Riley. You can look at Kirby Smart. To me, when I look at Ryan Day, there is not a quality that those coaches possess that he doesn't possess. I think he may have that little something extra that maybe collectively that group doesn't have. It's intangible in nature. I'm just telling you, it's not physical in nature. It's not a ring. It's not a trophy. Those will come. He's brand new as a head coach. Those will come. But if I am filling a vacancy at Pate State over the next 10 years, Ryan Day is my guy. I'll be very interested, by the way, to see your submissions in the comment section below, because I think we'll get a lot of Dabo love there, which I totally understand. I'm very interested to see how many people would go, let's say, Kirby or Lincoln Riley over Ryan Day.